putting a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Good evening. Welcome in, everybody. I am so excited. This is our first True Crime, Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. We are back. True Crime is back to RNN, the R.I.F.T Nation Network. We are streaming live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live every Monday evening at 7 p.m. As you all may recall, we were formerly Mysteries Beyond the Veil. We are now Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. Because as Howie O'Dell said to me, you are behind so many scenes, such as search and rescue. We are the family platform. Not only that, but we assist with the missing and the homicides. So tonight, what I would like to do is introduce myself. My name is Joni Skinner. Like I said, we were Mysteries Beyond the Veil on the R.I.F.T Radio Network, which is now R.I.F.T Nation Vidcast Network. We are the RNN Network, Monday evenings at 7 p.m. And I will be bringing to you true crime, along with family interviews, as well as search and rescue experts, law enforcement experts. We will bring you everything. And what I use is, I used to use what I call psychic clues. Now, then I started to learn and became very familiar with forensic astrology. Forensic astrology is what I use to do what we call mapping for the missing. I would be safe to say it's about 99.9% accurate when we do assist with missing persons cases. So tonight, it's just as soon as we get our audience back in, because we have been off platform for a while, we're back in on our platform. So it's going to take a while for our audience to get familiar, our old audience to come back to us. So tonight, for new viewers, new listeners, I want to go over a true crime that's actually occurring right now and what the astrology would have shown us. Now, this is not a missing persons case. This is a homicide. This homicide occurred back in November of 2022, a horrific homicide. And just to give you an idea of what the astrology, let's say, for example, law enforcement would have called me and said, hey, this is what we have. What can you tell us about the perp? And I'm going to show you things now that we know about the perp that also would have come up on the astrology chart. So that's quite interesting. And also, like I said, we are bringing back the R.I.F.T Nation, which is Howie O'Dell and Rhonda are back on the Orion Effect every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Then on Monday, True Crime is back at 7 p.m. Eastern. And also at 8 p.m., Otter's Den with Keith Ottersberg will be on at 8 p.m. And this evening, I will be on the Otter's Den talking about eclipse. So stick with us, come back at 8, and we will be on with the eclipse information. So, and we've also got a ton of new shows coming on to the R.I.F.T Nation. So please join us. Go to our Facebook page, like the Facebook page, and you will be introduced to all of the shows that are coming up. On Tuesday, our producer, Raven's Flock, Susan, does live readings every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. She has great messages with spirit. She's a medium. So you can go in and get a reading. It's a wonderful, wonderful platform. So visit her on tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. So the the crime that I'm going to talk to you about this evening, and I'm going to present the slideshows with it. So everybody that's familiar from Mysteries Beyond the Veil, we did a lot of slideshows. But this is a wonderful platform now because we don't have an echo. If you all remember, we fought with an echo forever. So I'm going to bring up the slides. I'm going to kind of take you through what the Forensic Astrology will show us, and then get ready for Keith's show. So this is our intro show. I'm excited to get started, get the invites out, let everybody know we're back on the air, back up and running. It's going to be an exciting network. I'm really excited to be back. So here we go with our Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. And this is our featured homicide that I'm going to take you through. And by now, you all, I'm sure, are familiar with the homicide from the Idaho 4 that occurred on November 12th in 2022. Now, if you're not familiar with this homicide occurred at the University of Idaho in Moscow, Idaho, where there were 4 young students. There they are. We have Xana and Ethan on the right, a young couple, and the 2 young ladies on the left, Kaylee and Madison, who were best friends, sisters. Actually, they weren't sisters, but they were besties for life. They had grown up together, and they all lived, the 3 girls lived at this particular house on campus. It was off campus, but close to campus. So we have Kaylee and Madison were the 2 female victims, and the couple, Xana and Ethan. So we have a homicide that occurred with 4 victims on the evening of November 12th. Now, the 2 girls to the left were also in the home. We had 6 people in this home and 1 perp. So on that evening, if you can see the house, the perp entered on the top floor, on the 3rd floor. That's where the girls were asleep. Ethan and Xana were asleep on the 2nd floor. And then the other 2 girls were on the bottom level of the home. So do we know if the perp was even familiar with the home? We don't know. So just for the timeline of the evening, we have Kaylee and Maddie were, as young girls, college girls do, they were out on a Saturday evening at a place called the Corner Club. Kaylee and Maddie then went to a grub truck, and there is a video of the girls at the grub truck, and they got a ride from a friend, and they arrived at the residence at 1:45 that evening. So Ethan and Xana were at a Sigma Chi party that evening. They arrived back at the house at 1:45 p.m. as well. So we've got everybody went out that evening, and then they came back. They all appeared back at the big white house. So what happened? Happened after that. The 4 students were found dead the following morning at noon. They had all been brutally murdered, and a knife is what caused the deaths of all 4 victims. So the death of the 4 students, they were found Sunday. The campus was being investigated. Of course, as you can imagine, this campus they were borderline hysterical. This is a very quiet, sleepy little town of Moscow, Idaho. You know, did they have a serial killer? How in the world did 6 people die in one home? 4 people die in one home with 6 people in the home. That's what the police questioned. So the only thing with due diligence and excellent police work, there was a picture, and I'm not sure if it was a Ring camera, but a video of a white car speeding away from the scene. That's all that the police were letting out at that time, back in November. And they thought it was a Hyundai of some sort, a white. They were not quite sure. They put out, pictures of the car. However, that's all they knew. And it was a horrific, horrific scene. So through due diligence of the police, they made an arrest of a gentleman who is alleged to have committed these crimes by the name of Brian Koberger on December 30th, all the way in Pennsylvania. Now, remember, this crime occurred in Idaho. So the police, I cannot say enough about the police work that went on behind the scenes. As you can imagine, it was the media. It was a media circus. The police were questioning people, asking for cameras of videos, and just about everybody has a Ring camera now. So somewhere along the line, everybody was going through their Ring cameras. Everybody throughout the country, they were looking for this white car. But now that we have gone through more of the investigation, we know more. A knife sheath was found at the bedroom where the 2 girls were, Kaylee and Madison, allegedly with his DNA on it. So when we go through the astrology chart, you're going to be very surprised at what this chart tells us about Koberger. I don't even want to say his name, because monsters like this like the attention. They like the media attention. They like to even be named on something as a YouTube video. So to me, I don't even want to include any pictures of this monster and give him any type of exposure whatsoever. But as you can see, there is a timeline where at 4:17 a.m., there was a whimper, thud, and dog barking can be heard on a nearby security camera, more than likely a Ring camera. Around the same time, the downstairs roommate opens the bedroom door, and she comes face to face with this monster with bushy eyebrows, clad in black clothing, and a mask, walking past her towards the rear sliding door. The downstairs roommate said she then locked herself in her room. She was unaware of anything that had occurred. At 4:20, a white Elantra is seen leaving the neighborhood at a high rate of speed. So now we're going to get into phone records. Koberger's phone is detected in Pullman, Washington, 5:30 a.m. Now you got to remember, this is on the border between Idaho and Washington. At 9:21, Koberger's phone connects to the area of his home in Pullman, Washington. 11:58, a 911 call comes in from the girls, the roommates that were downstairs apparently. So through the investigation and what we have found out now from the information now, it's April now, we can find out the timeline is shown of the monster's travels and his locations, November 13th. Now, something about this perp, the alleged perp, he is a PhD student in criminology, studying criminology. Wasn't very smart, because look at the mistakes he made with the phone and so, okay, at 2:42 a.m., Koberger's cell phone is located at his residence in Pullman. If you look at the map, Moscow and Pullman are about 10 minutes apart. At 2:47 a.m., he's traveling south through Pullman, but then stops reporting a network connection. Between 3:29 and 4:20, the Hyundai Elantra makes 3 initial passes by the resident. Now, the police have now stated that he drove by approximately a dozen times. He knew the victims. He knew what he was out looking for. They have not said which victim. However, Kaylee's parents have come out and said that Kaylee took the brunt of the assault, which is very common in a homicide with rage, is that she took the brunt of the assault. So as you can see on this timeline, he comes back online. He leaves the area at 4:20. So between 4 and 4:20 a.m., the homicides occurred. There was no sexual assault. It was just go in and, how did he navigate this home? Good question. So as you can also see, as we proceed down the timeline a little bit, at 9:21, he leaves the residence again in Pullman. He goes back to the scene of the crime at 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m., which is very common in a homicide. They will return to the scene of the crime. It's not unusual for them to be at vigils of their victims. It's also not unusual for them to go and take mementos or like some kind of a souvenir. And they also show up back at where the crime occurred. It's not unusual. So as you can see, at 12:36, he goes and gets coffee at Clarkston, where surveillance footage captures him. And then so on we go through. So as you can tell, the police have done a phenomenal job with their, that's the timeline that he had. So we're going to take a look at the astrology chart. So what you do with forensic astrology is you produce, it's almost like a natal birth chart, but it's not. It's called an event chart. So what we do is we take the time that the crime occurred at 4:17 a.m., and that was on November the 12th, 2022, in Moscow, Idaho. Now, it produces what's called a crime chart. So the event chart shows us a lot of different things, and it's quite amazing what just this one crime chart will do. Now, to take a step further with the missing case, when we have a missing persons case, we can take the calculations and we do what's called mapping. So I will produce a map for the family. It says the odds are that this is probably where you may find the victim. We give those to search and rescue teams. Like I said, 99.9% there is the accuracy rate. So that's where we get. So looking at the event chart. Now this is the Idaho 4. Hi, Rhonda. The Idaho 4, we're going to look at it. where you can see where I highlighted it, the 2 victims. Libra, there were 2. Whenever we see Libra, 2 victims, the 2 girls. When we go down to count 4 houses over, that's the end of the matter. The crime occurred in the home. Aquarius, in the sign of Aquarius, it's high up. They were on the 3rd floor. I would tell law enforcement, check if you go to the next house up, check videos at a place of fun. He's on camera somewhere where there's a restaurant or a bar. Could be near water with Pisces. We have come to find out since the homicides occurred that the girls worked at a restaurant. Now, it was alleged that he had shown up at the restaurant. However, the manager of the restaurant says no, he did not. However, there are also people that have alleged that this monster is really awkward at a bar scene, and he would get kicked out of bars because of how he acted. That's alleged. We move up to the other set, the next highlighted area where it says perp and the ruler, which is Aries. So we go to where the ruling planet of Aries is, which is Mars. I would tell law enforcement, he's in college. It's a college student, university, higher education. We have since found out that Koberger, the alleged perpetrator, was working on his PhD. He was a college student. He was at the college right down the street from where the girls went to school. It's also in Gemini, which is another 2 additional victims. So the chart is telling us there were 4 victims. It happened very quickly, shocking, fast, and unexpected. And it also occurred with a knife, steel. Mars rules steel, knives, violence. So then we're going to go over to the 10th house where the sign of Leo is. Just to go back a little bit, where the perp is, where the monster is. The university sticks out more than anything. I would have said possibly a professor at the university. That's how strong the university is in this chart. But in higher education, who would have thought it was a PhD student that's studying criminology? He's alleged. This case was going to be up in the spotlight for sure, and it grabbed a lot of media attention. If you did not see or hear about this horrific crime, this horrific homicide, I don't know where you were in November, because it was everywhere. And it did grab a lot of attention, social media attention as well. And then when we go down to where I've marked victims, there's a lot of activity in the 2nd house. There's 3 planets in there. So that would be car, evidence in the car. The 2 victims are also represented by Venus, the 2 females. So I would say, look in his car, college student. There's videos of him, videos everywhere. There's a large amount of videos because of the fact Jupiter enhances and makes things bigger. So that's what we would know the day after the murders occurred. That's what we would know, because you could do this chart that quickly. Now let's say that the girls are missing. So you would take and you would do, it's all mathematical calculations, and we could come up with a map, what we call mapping, that would give us longitude and latitude of where they possibly could be. This is just what I could glean from the chart. And that's just kind of a glance. It's not really even, but as you can tell, all of the lines connect. The perp connects to everything. But the large amount of videos, I think when we find out in June, when he has a preliminary hearing, there are going to be a lot more videos out there of him than we are aware of. But I would have told law enforcement, absolutely check the colleges. It's a college student or a professor. So then we move on, and that kind of sums up what forensic astrology does for and that's what we do on true crimes, mysteries beyond the scenes. We use this, and that's what we do on the show. So we're going to be coming back to you all, getting all of our old viewers and getting them back on board again. And I wanted to talk about one of our cases that we had, which was Aiden Clune. Now, Amy, Aiden's mother, came on Mysteries Beyond the Veil back in the fall, I believe Amy did. But there is going to be another search for Aiden in the area. If you all remember, Aiden's case was around Wells, Nevada, Utah area, and he has never been found. They found his truck. It was off to the side of the road. Aiden ran into the wilderness and ran 21 miles into the mountain ranges. But there is another search for Aiden, May 14th through May 20th. So please screenshot this poster. Volunteers are needed in that area, in the Utah, Nevada area out west. Please, you can call Amy. Her number is on the pamphlet, or email her at findaidenclune@gmail.com. And we will, I'm going to try to, I talked to Amy today for a while. I'm going to try to get Amy on the show so she can tell us updates on the show or on Aiden's case, what more we can find out. Like I said, it's been about 6 months that Amy was on the show, and she talked about Aiden's case, and we'll get Amy back on, and I'll keep talking about this. But if you could screenshot that and just share it out all over social media, I would really appreciate it. But that's I just kind of wanted to go through a little bit about what we do for people that are not familiar with forensic astrology. Like I said, it's not like quote unquote natal astrology. It's an event chart. So for example, when I look at the United States of America chart, we would do an event chart. If we want to know what happened at a certain 9/11, what happened on 9/11, an event chart, it will lay out a story. Now, there are different meanings than regular normal astrology, but it's just a study, that's all. But what a criminal astrology chart will tell you is phenomenal. And the mapping also, the mapping never fails. 99.9% accurate. When we give out a map, I really am, I'm more surprised when they don't find somebody as opposed to finding them. Because it's like, uh-oh, what did my math do? But again, that is where the Ring camera and the police did a phenomenal job on this homicide. And again, as we look at the house, we're going to find out more in the preliminary hearing in June of where he entered. There's a lot of speculation that one of the girls was being stalked. It shows in the chart. There was stalking. Doesn't show us which girl, but it would not have surprised me. I question why somebody that lives in New York in the Poconos Mountains would go to school for their PhD in criminology all the way at a college in Washington State. Now, maybe he had a scholarship, I don't know. But we're going to find out more about this. But that kind of gives us a little rundown of what we do on true crime, mysteries beyond the scenes. And we do go behind the scenes. So I'm excited to get back on here, excited to be back on the R.I.F.T platform again. So excited. Hi, Susan. Hi, Rhonda. We'll be back online. And I will be back on here at 8 p.m. with Keith Ottersburg, and we are going to go over the eclipse season. So I hope everybody likes, subscribes to the R.I.F.T Nation Network. Again, on Sunday evening, we have Howie O'Dell and Rhonda back with the Orion Effect. And then on Monday, we have True Crime right here with me again, back again. And on Tuesdays, we have Susan Raven with her wonderful readings. So stop in and check out Susan at 8 p.m. So I know this was a short show tonight, but I wanted to kind of just get back on, say hello, welcome back in, and I will see you guys next Monday. So join us for another scene, and then we'll have a new case, probably with some mapping, but this will give you a great idea because I'm getting really used to this platform and how to work it. So Susan said, wow. Hi, Susan. Do you guys have any questions since it's kind of like just us, I guess? Since we're back at an odd night, we're usually on Tuesdays, but we're back on Monday, and it's going to take a while for our people to get back online. I get that. So, but welcome everybody, and join me next Monday for another edition of True Crime. If you guys have any questions, and another thing I wanted to bring up too. I love when people are watching the show, and if you get any clairvoyant hunches or intuitive feelings or anything that you want to say, you know what? I see the woods, or I see this, or I see that. Please DM me. Let us know, because I do pay close attention to everything as far as clairvoyant clues. You know, we use them. They help. And that's what we do here. So come on in and join us on R.I.F.T Nation. And stay in touch, everybody, and see you at 8 o'clock later tonight. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all next Monday. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. See you at 8.